Welcome back to Airballer Podcast, Season 2, 2020, Dan. Welcome back, my friend.
I'm more impressed we got invited back. It's actually probably where we should be, really.
Yeah, a big ups to Switch once again for making us look semi-professional, I guess. Airballer Podcast, with this in the second episode of 2020. A bit of a happier one this time, Dan.
Yes, and I'm happy about that because we do have lots to cover today.
We do.
And you're going to hate me for saying this, but we're taking you on a drive home show if you're sitting in traffic in Auckland. And if you're out of Auckland, don't even worry about it. It's all good.
You listen to subpar chat while you're stuck in traffic. Good times.
Oh, happy days.
So today we're going to go through team. Our big topic of the day is going to be All-Star. All-Star 2020 is coming up, Chicago. There's been a lot of chat this week around who made it, who didn't make it, should they have made it, and calling out the NBA because you didn't make it and then playing bad.
Yeah.
Love that as an option. And then into some of the other big headlines of the week around how good Damian Lillard is. Zion Williamson. So good. Come back to that. Hold that as a thought.
Holding.
And Zion Williamson, how's he been since he started? Some power rankings. And then because our fans are so engaged. And look, Rebette's already come in. New All-Star rules. We'll get to it, Rebette.
Don't worry. It'll be covered.
It's already here.
We've
already had the question. We've got some fan questions that we're going to answer. So I suppose we'll go straight into All-Star. Thoughts?
Straight into All-Star. I'm happy with that. Let's go.
Cool. So as we know, All-Stars came out, fan votes came out last week.
Yep.
With Team LeBron, Team Giannis, both wearing everyone wearing 2s and 24s for Kobe and Gigi. So that's really nice. But then this week, the big news has been all of the reserves that have come out. And for those that don't know, if you're not new, well, if you're new to this podcast or you're new to basketball in general because you come through Switch or whatever, the starters are selected by the fans. The second lot is all the reserves are through GMs and coaches, etc. So
media as well.
Really?
Yeah, media get votes. Shame we didn't get a input next time.
Must be in the mail next year. Imagine it. How good. So there's been some controversy with some of the people that have and have not made it. The big two have been in the Eastern Conference, Bradley Beal. What do you think of Bradley Beal not making the All-Star team?
Pretty upsetting, really, considering John Wall's been out all season. Who's been carrying Washington?
Yeah, to be fair,
carrying it to
a 17 and 32 record.
Well, carrying to 17 games.
Yeah, I know. I feel bad for Bradley Beal. I think he's often overlooked as a true all-star in the NBA. He's been great for so long and can do kind of everything. Like, he plays great defense, like initially 3-and-D guy, and now just kind of does a lot of everything for them. And is an actual all-star, and it was last year and potentially even the year before.
But he's just a great scorer, right? And he can create his own shot, gets to the rack. And I think he's sort of taken on more now of a leadeship role within Washington since John Wall's gone.
He's kind of doing everything. So, like, I look at the stats here in front of me, like 28.6 points per game, 6.3 assists per game, 4.3 rebounds per game, and didn't make an all-star. Like, he's 6th in the NBA in scoring, doesn't make an all-star team, which has his old team has 10 players in it.
Yeah.
Like, that's crap.
But this is every year though, right? It's always a couple of players every year who miss out.
Yeah, and it's like there's always going to be those guys, but how do you stop it being them? And is it just...
Well, is it the whole all-star voting, how players get in? Is that, do I dare say the word, not rigged, but calculated.
It's political, mate. Like, to be honest, like, I think the fan votes took some of that political nature out. It was the fan votes from, I think it came out 4 or 5 years ago, was giving the fans a choice because they're the ones that pay the money to see it.
Yeah.
The games don't count.
Yeah.
And like, they're there to watch. It's entertainment.
Well, I know we touched on this last week, but, good that we have the fans there, but then you have them voting for Taco Fowl and...
Give the fans what they want, Dan.
And Alex Caruso.
Yeah, okay.
Do you know what I mean? Like, it's kind of...
Yeah,
yes, it's helped, and probably for the majority, I think the starting 5 was actually pretty easy to pick.
Yeah.
For both sides, bar what we covered off last week around Siakam and...
Yeah, and I think some of the guys that got in through fan vote...
deserved it.
I mean, of course, some of them did, but I think some of them probably should have come in through reserves and... Some guy, there's Bradley Beal. The other massive one, and it's a massive omission for me, is Devin Booker not making an all-star team. He's...
Carried them to 20 wins.
20, fine. I've just got this note, and that's from Open Court, so that's obviously...
It's a legit.
Yeah, but guards who have averaged 27-plus points on 50% shooting with 6 assists in a season, in NBA history, people that have just done it, don't think about all-stars. Oscar Robertson did it.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Jordan did it 3 times. Steph Curry did it. And Devin Booker did it. Players in that list not to make the all-star team. Devin Booker.
So what do you think then? Like, because it's obviously coming down to the GM and the media and those votes, the coaches' votes. Does he just not have a good reputation, do you think, in the league? And hence why maybe he hasn't been...
I think you
Do
probably...
you know what I mean? I'm just trying to figure out why. If you can't argue the numbers.
Yeah, I think when you get to that point and you look at... The glaring... hole in both of their games is the wins that their teams had. You know what I mean? Washington's had 17 wins. Phoenix had 20 wins.
Yeah.
To be fair, Phoenix started real hot and they've just gone cold.
Wow.
But so when it becomes a GM vote, right? Do you think then that they then take that into way more consideration because to GMs wins are everything?
Well, it's wins and money, right? It is. It's how much money is your team? Is your team profitable?
But Devin Booker scored 72 points. Like, he is a...
Oh, no, I get that. No,
you're not talking about people bringing the fans in.
No, I get that. I'm just like, well, how many people in Phoenix support Phoenix? I reckon there's a lot of people who support Devin Booker.
Yeah, but that's you're proving my point. Is that he should be there.
Oh, no, I agree. I'm not arguing with you. I'm arguing a different view that agrees with you. Goodness me, I've had a complete...
What I'm saying is, when it comes to a GM vote,
yes,
guys like Bradley Beal and Devin Booker aren't going to make it no matter how good they are, to a point, because their team's not winning, and to GMs, wins matter. To fans, wins don't matter. If he'd got through, he had potentially, if that's the case, more chance of making it through on a fan vote than he did a GM vote, because fans are like, yo, hype.
Yep.
What's he going to do? What's the cool stuff he's going to do? The same reason they want to see Alex Caruso with his high-flying dunks and great hairdo.
I've got nothing to say to that.
It's the same thing. But, he's pissed, right? He is not a happy man.
I don't think any of those guys on that list are.
Absolutely not. And, he's kind of taken a strong approach on it when he got asked about it. Not quite as strong as Jackson Hayes, which we'll come to.
That'll be mentioned.
Oh, won't it, though? God, what a time to be alive.
Devin
Booker on how we changed the All-Star voting format. Put the best players in. He's not wrong.
No, he's not wrong.
Do you think there's anyone else other than those two that you think really deserved a look over someone else that made it? Or, as well as, part 2 of the same question, do you think there's anyone in there that shouldn't have made it that could have easily been switched out?
See, this is hard, and I'm just a big fan of Jay Morant. Right? So I think, yes, making reserves, good. But I could almost see him almost starting. But, hey, tough ask. But again, he's doing what a rookie hasn't done in a long time.
Yep. So you think Ja Morant should be making it into the All-Star game as a rook?
Yeah.
Yeah, but the thing is, fans are already going to see him. I can kind of see the reason for not putting rookies in there. Only because the fans are going to see them because he's going to...
Is he playing in the Rising Stars game as well?
Of course he is. Of course he is. He's leading it, and he's going to be dunking over everyone and scoring 35 points.
So it's more a recognition thing for him, right?
Totally. I kind of have no problem with him not being there.
So who's your one then?
There's, other than the two I've just mentioned, which is absolute, an atrocity.
Oh, good word.
It really is. I think like either
Yes.
LaMarcus Aldridge. Okay, he's not a likable guy, but
Now,
he's
it's just,
good, man.
And are you only saying this because this is the first time, and I think you've got it written down somewhere, how many years that San Antonio hasn't had an all-star?
Since 98, 99.
What's Popovich doing?
He lost Tim Duncan. Well, no, he's still got Tim Duncan, but he's crying on sidelines. I feel bad for Tim Duncan. But no, like, and again, their record, same thing, right? Like,
Yeah.
It's the same conversation we just had. The Spurs are only at
22.
22 wins,
Ooh.
which is not great for a Greg Popovich coach team
Sitting in 10.
that has both DeMar DeRozan and LaMarcus Aldridge, potentially just past their primes, but still like in the prime of their careers, with guys like DeJounte Murray, Derek White in there to help them out. They're underperforming, but I still think like you watch LaMarcus Aldridge and they played the Mavs last week and just dominating their bigs. KP couldn't do a thing against him. This guy's the unicorn. He's like, yeah, he's 7'2" and got his ass kicked is what happened from a guy who's just big and knows how to play basketball.
I mean, I guess we probably don't need to worry too much about their record because they will find their wind, they'll find their feet, and they will make a run for the 8.
You reckon do you think they'll make the playoffs?
Yep. I think they will. I mean, OKC is playing really well right now, but I can see possibly them dropping. Unsure around Memphis. I like how they're sitting in 8th. I'd love to see them get into playoffs.
It is
But
interesting.
everything else looks pretty locked down. But anyway, that's going off
Yeah,
topic.
but then you look and let's continue with it because then you've got people, and we're going to come to this next point. The Blazers are sitting in 9th, a team that is, in my opinion, still top 4 in the league.
I don't know what it is with the Blazers. For the past few years when I've been watching them, they normally make playoffs, but they've just got nothing in the playoffs. It's just almost a mental block.
Yeah,
I mean, I did love last year when they knocked out OKC and
Oh,
Damian Lillard's parting wish to Russell Westbrook, which he has done again recently in one of his huge games.
Oh, it's a beautiful thing. Well, he was. What did he say in that game to Russell Westbrook the other day? He got fouled by Russ going to the hole, and Russ, as he does, like just absolutely just lays into him, and he goes, "Boy, you don't want to meet me in the playoffs. You know you don't want to meet me in the playoffs."
And that's and that's fair.
He's done it to. We did it to Houston in what's that 2014.
Yep.
The biggest shot, the first time that Portland
It's a good
made
photo.
that made the second round since like 1978 or something.
Mm-hmm.
And that was a lie. That was way further forward than
You
that.
had me fooled. Just
Yeah,
carry on.
No, because I'll get hit up by the fans.
Fact checks.
And then he did OKC last year. But going back to the original point, which was who should be in the All-Star game and who shouldn't, I think those two. And potentially, I think everything else is close. But I don't think, like, why is Sabonis in there? Like, do they just need a big?
Maybe.
And then someone else at work today, like, shout out to Jono, made the comment, Jimmy Butler turned it down a couple of years ago. Why should he be allowed in?
Turned down All-Star.
Yeah.
That is a great point, actually.
So why put him in there? Then you put Bradley Beal in there.
You put him in there for locker room fun.
Yeah, because Jimmy Butler sounds like a ton of fun. He's going to go take the third string cheerleaders' boyfriends and beat the All-Star team, he reckons. Like, come on, mate.
Go on. But you kind of need those personalities in the NBA. It makes it entertaining for us.
Like, it does. But, like, it's a good point. And I think...
Yeah, that is a good point, though.
like, it's going to always be a contentious point around who makes All-Star, who doesn't, because people like other people. And some guys, this guy sucks, he's trash, rah, rah, rah. Because for the same token, I think if LaMarcus Aldridge made it, you'd be like, why isn't someone else there? I'm trying to think of who I'd take out.
Out of who?
I don't know. Kawhi Leonard, is he on load management this week? Back into club.
Cool. Well, I guess it does raise the point, and are we going to see changes? And this is almost following the theme from last week. Well done, Dane. We've done well. Around changes, what we're going to see in the league, and especially All-Stars, and they have made some changes.
Totally. And, like, cool
But
changes.
Cool changes as well. Not sure how well it's going to work, but we can cover that off in a minute. But I think you're also going to see changes in how the voting's done.
Potentially.
But again, it's going to be little things. I don't know how.
Yeah, and I think the challenge you've got is if it's an entertainment league and if it's all politics and it's all entertainment and it's not about the best players, it's the ones that people want to see.
It's the people
Fine.
that brings in the money, right?
Cool. The people that bring in the money. Cool, don't play Bradley Beal. Cool, don't play Devin Booker, whatever.
Mm.
Changing it, I think, has been a good start this year. Is that something that's going to continue? So, for those who don't know, to honour Kobe Bryant, they've changed the All-Star game
The format.
slightly. So you basically play for 3 quarters, and then in the 4th quarter you play to
24.
You play to 24. Is it like? But no,
Everything resets back to 0, 24. But depending on where you finish up at the end of the 3rd quarter, so say you score 100,
yeah,
and I score 95.
Of course, that's the case.
Look, I'm just being friendly. It resets back to 0.
Yeah.
You only have to score 24 points, but I'd have to score 29. So it's the difference.
Sure.
It's the difference added on to 24.
Gotcha. That was it. Because it was the one I read. It was really badly worded. That kind of makes a heap of sense.
Yeah, and so I guess that the whole reason is to try at least make those 3 quarters competitive, because you don't want to be down by 20.
No.
And then having to score 44 points.
Yeah, put Steph Curry and just bomb from the half court. Hope for the best.
So, and they've always been trying to make this more competitive. Like
this will work. I think
a couple of years ago, it was around you have like the captains, team captains. Like that was to draw attention, maybe not so much bring it more competitive, but I think it was meant to.
Yeah, no, absolutely it was. It was. And
I'm going to get my boys, you get your boys.
But more of a show.
Yeah.
But I think, like, what's stopping them just picking the best, 20 players, let those team captains pick?
Mm-hmm.
Doesn't matter which conference they want from. Doesn't matter.
That's what I would like to see.
And to be fair, I know it's competitive, but a lot of these smaller guys can play big, so you don't have to go get 3 centers. You can just go and...
Well, because I was listening to another podcast actually,
fancy.
and they were talking about how the voting works, because you actually have to vote by position. It's not actually by best player in the league.
Totally.
So
that's why
it
most
makes
of New
sense.
Zealand went for Stephen Adams.
Yeah, boy.
I actually want to come into that because he's on the trade block right now, by the way.
Well, he's injured, isn't he?
Yeah, but there's potentially a nice trade going down. We'll come to it. Sorry.
Okay, segue. So I just... you've completely thrown me off my train of thought, though, so shall we?
Oh, you're blowing it.
Beautiful thing about drive home shows, mate. Anything can happen. You just keep on rolling.
Keep rolling. Yeah. I think, though, to conclude, I think the format, the All-Star Game is right. I think it's going to be a test over the next sort of 2 to 3 years whether that works. I think it's going to make it more competitive. But I think what we'll find is something like the conferences being removed, so the best players, and potentially not even per position. So if only one centre gets in, fine, he might dominate in the post, but he's also going to be slower than everyone. It changes the game slightly.
Yep.
I don't think it'll happen. There are enough bigs in this league that are amazing. Like
well.
Guys that didn't make it, like Porzingis, Drummond, even the ones that did make it, like Embiid, they can kick it with like the guys that are smaller. And remembering that some of the guards, Ben Simmons is still 6'10", 114 kilos.
Yep.
He's a big lad. He can defend someone on the post. So I don't think you necessarily need to be going per position, and I think that'll help both the team captains and the ratings. Not sure if it'll make it more competitive.
Yeah,
remains to be seen.
It's just for the All-Star Game, eh? This whole change. They haven't brought it in for the Rising Stars.
No, I think the Rising Stars is as it was.
It's the same format.
Yeah.
That tends to be relatively competitive anyway.
Yeah, well, they play Rising Stars, obviously, the world versus USA.
Yep.
And to be fair, the world's so much better at the moment. With is Doncic still in it? He's only, second year? Or is it rookie only?
I thought it was rookie only.
Yeah, but they used to play rookies versus sophomores. He's injured too.
He's injured, so the question is he even going to be available for All-Star?
Yeah, and if he comes out, my boy Devin Booker gets in because he deserves it. He carries that team. Understand that they are only 20 and 30. DeAndre Ayton was out for 26 games because he got just suspended. Because they had a great win in their first game, and hey, you've got to be on drugs. Yeah, you watch it, big dog.
Yeah, you watch it, and we'll get you. And they did.
And I did, and it killed my fantasy season too.
Let's not go into that. Let's not go down that hole with you right now. Congratulations, though, for your first victory.
Yeah, big up to Nick Christie. Appreciate that. But I suppose we've kind of touched on it already, but how good is Damian Lillard right now?
Honestly, I mean, I wish I could average 48.9 points per game.
Once.
Even just get that high. so over the past 6 games, he has just been absolutely unreal, shooting the lights out. If you're averaging 48.9,
he's kind of doing.
He's just
everything.
doing. Like you said, he is doing everything, and he doesn't really need a cast. It's the Damian Lillard show right now for Portland. It's fantastic.
It is, and I think he's lucky enough that he's got guys in there now. And you've got Hassan Whiteside in a contract year, which is good timing. And like they actually might get it right. Like I know they're in 9th position now, but I think they'll probably end up in like 7th. Ideally, like I'd like to see them in the playoffs and then knocking out. Oh, imagine them knocking out the Clippers. How good!
Clippers or the Rockets again, just for a good story.
That'd be sad. But the chat that I've sort of heard around it, and it's probably quite a good conversation, and it probably dives into a big thing on. The award season, right? Which currently comes after the playoffs when no one cares anymore, etc., etc. But I think they're going, Damian Lillard is the absolute personification of a leader in the NBA, and there should be a leadership award, and it should be named after, I forget who said they name it after, but like, and the first recipient, name it after Tim Duncan or whatever it is, and the first recipient should be Damian Lillard. Like, he's just doing everything.
Yep.
Not only is he just scoring the ball, he's got the ball in his hand the whole time. He's not taking the first. He's not just dribble, pull up three by any stretch. He passes it. He gets the right cut, and it just so happens that of late they've been defending those other positions.
Yeah, not him.
No, and like he played against the Lakers the other day, and that was just the first Lakers game back since the Kobe tragedy, and it was. Firstly, big ups to everyone that played in that game because it was super high intensity, and it was just kind of like, it was nice to watch that these guys are professionals and they put on a show still. But Damian Lillard just pass, screen away, like the stuff that everyone just should be doing.
Basics, it's fundamentals, right? It's fundamentals of basketball.
Getting the ball back and just yamming it on JaVale McGee. Like, that is exactly what you should be doing. And someone who's as much of a leader as him, as talented as he is, what's stopping him continuing this run other than double teams?
And it's not just the things he's doing on the court too. It's everything he's doing off. And it's really hard because we don't get insight into that.
No, not at all. Not even his media.
Not even his media, unfortunately. But like, you can just imagine that the kind of guy he is in the locker room. Yeah. He'll be talking to everyone individually, all as a team. He's the voice of the team.
Yeah.
And I think that would make sense for a leadership award that encompasses all of that.
And I think let's not, like this, again, I think we went into it very briefly, but there's 2 different styles of leadership, right? There's and this comes out of Bill Simmons' podcast, The Book of Basketball 2.0, where there's the Michael Jordan, I'm the best,
I'm the greatest,
get on my back, or get out because you're not good enough to keep up. And Steve Kerr went quite deep into that podcast, and to anybody, I highly recommend that. That was a great podcast. And secondly, there's the guys like Tim Duncan and Steph Curry who are, I don't care if I'm the best. I have my role. I do that the best. Come on my team and I will
make you the best.
I'll make you better. I'll make everyone better. Let's do it together and win. And that's why someone like Michael Jordan couldn't have someone like KD come onto a team, but Steph or someone else or like Tim Duncan could. And I think you'll find someone like Damian Lillard almost... And like, again, we don't get much insight into what he looks like in the locker room, but I think he'd probably be somewhere in the middle because he doesn't look like the nicest guy in the world. Like, let's say that. Like,
he would call you out.
Yeah, he wouldn't suffer fools by any stretch. You know what I mean? He'd have the intensity like Michael or Kobe or whatever in practice, just to go at you hard because that's what you're going to get
in a game.
But I think the reasoning behind it would be the same as Tim Duncan or Steph Curry. It's like
it's a different
because I want to make you better, and because I want you to be better, and I want you to try, and I want to make me better because we'll win as a team. And I think. It goes without saying that he's one of the only guys, and as much as I like LeBron, that hasn't changed teams, and it's been tough.
Do you think he will?
I think he'd lose a lot of respect and a lot of fans if he did. Absolutely. What do you think?
No, I don't think he will.
I think
he's very, very happy where he is. I think
maybe not day to day.
Maybe not day to day, and maybe not at the current record. But he knows it's a journey.
Yeah.
And you don't just win a ring overnight.
No, exactly right. But I think that there's a lot of pieces that they need to even be competitive.
And that's the thing. And they're probably going to have to make some moves around trade time. I would like to segue, but I probably couldn't dive into enough of what's going on within Portland from a trade view.
It was nice seeing Trevor Ariza there. I mean, Trevor Ariza's old, but
He's another good veteran.
Plays defense, knows what he's doing. He's at the point in his career where he's starting to get overmatched by the way more powerful guys, whereas he probably didn't do that a few years ago, which is crazy to think because he was still on the 09 winning Lakers. 09? Was around there. He was in that Lakers team around that time. So like just before like Artest and those guys came in, he was there. Ron. Meta world.
Well, speaking of young players and making impacts early on, Zion Williamson, and unfortunately his debut was last week during the tragic news that came out. But I thought it would be worth touching on because the question is being asked, is the hype real? Is it? Very small sample size?
I think the hype's real. I think Zion is lucky enough that he is an absolute beast. He's 6'8". He's the third heaviest player in the NBA behind Tyson Chandler and Taco Fall. That's a stat for you.
That's a stat.
But can jump out of the building, has the quickest first step. There is so much upside, and you can see why he went number one, why he's this phenom, etc., etc. It'd be two things for him. One, can he change his style depending on who he's playing?
Yep.
Do you think he can?
It was interesting because I was another podcast with Brian Windhurst, actually, the Hoop Collective. I was listening to that, and they were talking around Zion, and he's 19, still very young. And the media get in there obviously more than what we do, but they were saying, how's he finding it? And I think he's very overwhelmed. Basically, his comments have been like, just let me go play.
Yeah.
Like he's getting matchup sheets. When he got injured, they're trying to teach him how to run a different way to like preserve his body. And they actually, Scottie Pippen, I think, said something on a show. What would be your advice to Zion, to further your career? And Scotty's just like, just hang on to the rim for longer.
Oh yeah, softer landing.
Soften the landing, right? Hold on for an extra couple of seconds and go back down. It's not a bad call.
No, it's not. But I think I still think he's going to need to, and I could be wrong.
Yeah.
He could be that ridiculously explosive and that ridiculously good. He could be the second coming of LeBron. He's not.
Well, yeah. No.
Like potentially, don't get me wrong. But does he need to develop a game where it can stretch up and down? Because I think that's what the great players do.
He's going to need to learn how to shoot. And yes, I think he's almost like 81% from three at the moment, but he hasn't shot any threes since.
Still small sample size,
right?
Right?
Very small sample size, so you can't say that. But develop a shot early.
Play defense.
Yeah, I guess he's there for a shot blocker, and he is maybe not so much. I haven't seen him in the pick and roll. Not sure what he's like on that. So definitely agree with you. Hype is real. When you're averaging 19.5 points, 8 rebounds, 61% field goal shooting.
And just remembering that.
And just remember he's played, 3 or 4 games now, if that.
And he's he's a rookie, and you still don't get many rookies that just come and dominate.
Well, no, and you raised a good point before. He's come in sort of the same shape as what LeBron's come in. Not a 19-year-old. He's almost a grown man, and like you said, third heaviest player. Already, you're actually just going to be a step above rookies anyway.
Yep.
Because you are built like a man, should we say?
Yeah.
We've got young men coming up. So, yeah, can he sustain it? Yeah, who knows? I mean,
I think his biggest thing is going to be injury, because if there's straight physics, you are 6'7", 6'8", and you're 300 plus pounds.
It's got to hurt the knees, man.
Yeah, knees, ankles, everything.
Yep. And
you don't want to see it because you want to see the best players out there.
Mm-hmm.
But I think that's going to be a big thing for him. And if it does mean, if it means that if he's good enough, he doesn't need to change his game at all, fine. I think you need to at some point in your career, look at LeBron. Started as a point guard, shooting 3, then he's played 4.
And now he's sort of playing all of them.
Yeah, and then you go back one more step and go Kobe, who, by the way, hardly played in his first year, by the way, and partly in his second year.
But would keep taking shots, and all the vets would get real angry at him.
Yeah, fine, because he knew he was going to be mean.
Which again highlights the Mamba mentality. Just go out and shoot.
Totally. But then transition from there to super athletic all-star MVP Kobe of 09.
Yeah.
To finesse, fade away, the sort of of Michael Jordan towards the end. Like that's progressing your career, and I think all guys do it in different ways. And Zion is going to need to focus on the skills in order to extend his career. Like, say he stays healthy, yeah, a couple of niggles here and there. You still need to, like, you're not going to be 19, 6'8", and
forever.
that explosive. Like, and hey, it might get him through to he's 30, so we've still got, 12 years of peak Zion just absolutely just racking on people. But that's how you extend careers, and all the greats do it. And I know he's played 3 games and talking about how to extend his career, which kind of shows that the hype is at least there.
It is there. And you raised it again. Injury is the key, I think, for him.
Totally.
But
so then going on to the next topic, which is here's hoping, man, because those guys, like the Pelicans, could be legit good. They've got the right core. They really do. Brandon Ingram's an all-star.
We need to start. You are right. We need to start almost getting down our little quotes and little bits that we have.
Why?
And making sure we call people out.
Why did I say they were never going to make the playoffs?
I think you might have done once time.
Yeah, last year when they didn't make the playoffs.
Anyway, moving on.
Moving on. So then something that sort of come out today / yesterday, the Rockets potentially lost a little bit of faith in Clint Capella, which is crazy. Yep. He's been so fundamental to their success for the last couple of years. And now they're going...
It was ever since he signed, though, wasn't it? That massive contract. Ooh. Year and a bit ago, I think. They re-signed him.
Just come off the boil a bit.
I think he's just almost stopped trying a little bit, or he's just...
super rough.
Well, you saw it last year.
Yeah, like I feel that.
And you now have a young centre, Isaiah Hartenstein, I think his name is, coming in. And when he's got minutes, he's double.
Totally.
All the time.
But then they're looking to trade for Steven Adams. What do you think of that?
Oh, well. Is it the Russell Stevens show again?
I hadn't even clicked on that. I hope not.
Oh, what? Why not?
No. All it's going to do is hurt his stats and make them no better.
But that's all he's going to be brought in there for.
Yeah, but you've already got a
pick
guy
and roll.
The thing is, you've got a guy that does that.
He's just going to be screening for Harden and Westbrook.
Fine.
That would be his role.
Cool. But he's also, remember, when Harden and Westbrook were doing the same thing last time they were together, they had Serge Ibaka, who was better than Steven Adams, and they still didn't win. And they also had Kevin Durant.
Well, it's the recreation of OKC and Houston.
No, I disagree with it. Personally, if you're going to trade Clint Capella, I'm not sure Steven Adams is the right guy.
No.
As much as I adore Steven Adams, I think he's great, and he's come so much further than I think anyone, including himself, may have even thought he was going to. Big ups. He is... he's a borderline all-star too, by the way.
Yep.
But I'm not sure he gives you much more than that Clint Capella can't. Go get a stretch big if you need that.
Mm. Well, that's what I'm wondering whether that's what they're going to look for, another wing. Because who you've got, and I was looked today, you've only got one power forward that they have listed. Who is that?
Don't say it's PJ Tucker.
It is. Oh. He is actually the only power forward listed in the Rockets.
Yeah, and then look what Zion Williamson did to him yesterday.
Hey, look, he is a great defensive player. He plays very well. He does that. He plays. He doesn't add to the stats in that way, right?
To be fair, he's solid.
He is solid,
I'm
but
being rude.
But he's battered. He's tired. He's playing 34 minutes a game.
Yeah, bring someone
scoring
else in to
2
help
points.
him.
But yeah, and that's the point. So it's like, well, if we've got this young centre coming up, Clint, yeah.
Yeah, but I don't, what's the age difference? Steven's not that young anymore.
I agree to that point. But they shouldn't be looking for another centre.
Yeah, maybe go for another big.
You're going for a power forward.
Yeah, who is there though? That's the question. Is I think power forwards who are outstanding in this league are few and far between. I could be wrong.
Or do you continue to try to play the small ball that Houston like to play, and you look for another small forward?
Yeah,
like Iguodala.
Yeah, potentially.
Robert Covington, maybe.
Rocco could be good. He's not long been in his situation, potentially. But I think the challenge is you still need that defensive presence, and you need that guy that's going to rebound, because you've got guys that are chucking up 60 shots a game between them. So if they're not hitting,
but I feel like that's the Houston strategy though. They're not
live and die by the three.
Oh, we're just gonna. All we need to do, we don't need to play defense. We just need to score more buckets than the rest of the team. If we get up the right amount of numbers and our percentages are on track, we've won every time.
The thing is,
that's the Mike and Tony.
There's so many ifs in there, and if Clint Capella's not worth as much to you, then what do you need out of that? You need someone who can do that plus something else, not someone who can do that. I mean, potentially they're going, Steven Adams earns less money and they try and firm up cap room like that, but I don't know. It just doesn't, it seems like a weird one, but I think no matter where he goes, Steven Adams is going to be highly regarded, highly supported, at least in this end, like this end of the world.
Yep.
The amount of jerseys I see, I think he's done beautiful things for New Zealand basketball and will continue to do so. Like, we're going to try and have the guys from Auckland Ballers on here because they are good at what they do and they're doing so much good in the community. But it's all this stuff that I still don't think would have happened without Stephen there as kind of the figurehead for it all. The guy that goes from...
He made it real for people, like,
Yeah.
you can make it.
Yeah, and it doesn't matter your situation growing up. And I think it's so much of the NBA is that came from this type of background, from this neighborhood with this many parents. Like, I know, like, I'm very much like paraphrasing and probably pigeonholing, but it's all very easy to see on NBA.com that this person came from here and his upbringing was hard. Cool. But when it comes from, it's all about personal, right? This guy came from New Zealand, Rotorua, got a break, and then
Americans didn't even know what New Zealand was.
I know, and like made the most of it. And I think that's helping New Zealand basketball so much. And I really hope it continues to. As much as finding a basketball court is hard to do now on a Sunday, these kids are good. These kids are real good, and it's good for, I think, watch the Breakers 3-5 years from now, and the entire like ANBL, because
You've already seen it now.
yeah, guys like Finn and stuff getting in there who probably saw the start of that. And to be honest, Finn, he didn't score all the points for the Breakers the other night, but he is fundamental to that team's success. They're going better without the point guards in there, which potentially weren't quite gelling as much. And obviously the news has come of RJ Hampton going back to the US today. And I don't disagree with it from his point of view or from a Breakers point of view. You've done your time here. Thank you very much. You've brought what we needed. And we've given you what you needed. Be great.
Go home.
But I think...
Remember us.
Yeah, exactly. Remember us in your Rookie of the Year speech.
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully. But yeah, like I think New Zealand basketball is only going to grow from there. And I've segued massively. This isn't on the sheet. I just love how good New Zealand basketball is getting because of these guys who are helping. And it's literally from grassroots, kids playing in backyards to NBL, ANBL, all the leagues that we play in. It's so good.
I mean, I wouldn't say we really play. We're just there to participate.
We're there. We shoot the ball sometimes. Yeah, I know. I don't want to go into that. Anyway, on to a couple of questions from the big fans.
Oh, yes.
Long-time fan, Courtney Paulin asks, is Matisse Thybulle the best defensive player in the league or of all time? Hey,
how do I feel about that? Great question.
Great question, Courtney Paulin.
I even had to do some research, and I'm
on who this guy is.
Yeah, who is he for one, and who's ready to see a train wreck? Right, let's go. Interesting. I'll call out first in his last 3 games.
So who is he first, and who does he play for?
Sorry, Philadelphia 76ers. He is a rookie. Couldn't tell you what pick he went.
Didn't. He was undrafted. That's the point.
Oh right. Well, there we go. Nobody. In his last 3 games, he's totaled 12 fouls with only 3 steals. So I'll just lead with that.
So potentially not
of all time.
Sorry.
But I digress. What he has done this season and what he has done for the record, when he plays at least 14 minutes, the Sixers are 24-5 when he's on the floor. When he doesn't play or plays under 40 minutes, the Sixers are a combined 7-10.
I just love how stats are like...
And I love that how they build it, and you can always find a stat to build a story,
correlation
right?
is not causation, exactly. Yeah. The other way around.
So, but, I mean, again, he has been given a defensive rating of 94.6, and he has defended a lot of tough players where he has really shut them down. Kemba Walker, 4 from 12, who's normally shooting 44%. You got Joe Harris, shooting 27%. Usually shoots 46. Again, it's all stats around it, but yeah. Kyle Lowry, 0 for 6.
Oh, we're coming to Kyle.
0 field goal percentage. Usually shoots 41.
Does he? On that, the reason we're laughing is because in a couple of weeks we're going to have our mate Dylan on here, big Kyle Lowry fan, defending how good Kyle Lowry is and his honour in general. So looking forward to that. A couple of weeks. Stay tuned.
That's going to be a great podcast.
Yeah, there's going to be a lot of bleeps in that one, I think.
Yeah, can we do that?
We'll find out.
Find out anyway. But the point is, he's a nobody. He come from nobody, but he's there for a defensive purpose. Yes, he can shoot the odd three, and that's what they've gotten there for. But basically, he's just there to play defense. So I think a key to remember as well, he's leading all rookies in steals at the moment with 62. The closest behind him is Cam Reddish with 47.
Yeah, and from nobody.
To add, who's Cam Reddish has actually played 350 more minutes.
Yeah, it's crazy for less steals. He's obviously going hard. You look at that, and it's like,
but then
the amount of fouls he's getting. That's the reason he's not playing more than 14 minutes.
And and that's his problem, right? Yeah, and that's that's a trade-off. But he's 13th in the entire NBA with 1.6 steals a game, despite only averaging 20 minutes. Like, it's pretty good for a rook. So,
in conclusion, Courtney, I don't think he's the best defensive player in the league. He's probably the best defensive player in the Sixers.
Well, I think that comment actually sums up that he's not, because he's 13th. But he's definitely
in the Sixers. And he's a better three-point shooter than the Sixers' starting point guard.
Get it, Ben?
Don't choke.
Get it, Ben?
Exactly.
Okay. All right. Well, I have a question for you from a long-time listener, Aaron Oscom, down in the mighty south. Why are the Timberwolves 0-11? And when I did check this about before we started, the Wolves were down by about 15. So it could be on 12 now. Why are they 0-11 when Cat is the greatest player of all time?
Because, my friend, Cat is not the greatest player of all time. Cat isn't the best player in the Timberwolves. You got to play both ends of the floor.
Wow.
Yeah. I still don't think Andrew Wiggins is that good either. But I don't.
Who's you'd put Wiggins over Karl Anthony Towns?
Nah, Dario Saric. No. I would put Wiggins there. No, that's a massive oversight. Cat's still the best player in the Wolves.
I like good retraction.
But in the same token, like, he plays one end of the floor and he gets beaten up by anyone bigger than him. And he's trying to play big tough guy this year. Cool. Show us the stats that back it up rather than just trying to fight people.
Well, he is very gifted offensively, and that's where
that's
where he's making a difference. But like, to your point, play basketball is a game of two sides.
Yeah, exactly right.
Two ends.
And I think he's not the issue with the Timberwolves. And I think he's in probably quite a good position there, and I think they'd be silly to let him go. But on the same token, I think if you've got someone there that you know is a weak link on defense, find a way to fill the hole, just like the Warriors do with Steph Curry. Steph Curry, he's not the worst defender in the world. Neither's like Karl Anthony Towns. The problem is he gets overpowered and gets in his own head on it. Get someone else there to help you out. So when Kevin Garnett was there for his last season, KG wasn't good then, but he taught him, and they were playing good defense together. Get guys. That's where someone like Steven Adams should go, because Steven doesn't need to, like, it's all position role players. Steven doesn't need to worry about scoring heaps, though he can if he needs to.
Yep.
Plays defense, rebounds. Big Cat can do pretty much everything else. And I think the fact that 0-11, no, he's not the best player in the world, goes way beyond that to Wiggins he does a lot, but potentially too much for how good he actually is.
You need to look at all the moving parts in that team, right?
Like, who's their point guard?
They don't even have a tier 1 point guard. Do you remember Shabazz Napier?
The one that LeBron wanted to get to the Heat and then he left?
Yeah, I think that was.
So 2013, 2014, LeBron's like, he's the best rookie coming out. Bring him to the Heat. Cool. Bail. Peace.
Thanks for coming.
Yeah.
Away you go. Yeah, and then you've got Jarrett Culver.
Yeah, like, Jarrett Culver, why? Not why. That's so rough. But like, that's your issues. And for guys that potentially aren't mature enough and don't have the complete game to carry an entire team, I think it's quite unfair that he is expected to do that. But All-Star, also, if you want to be an All-Star and you want to be a great, you need to learn how to do that.
Yep.
And that's on that organisation to get the guys in to help him out, either through playing with him or coaching staff to help him with it.
Yeah, agreed.
And if that doesn't mean another big, it means a 3 guard, like a small forward that can pick up a 4. So then it kind of, the 4 can pick up the 5 and then Towns can have room to move. Or, God forbid, play a zone.
Well, you've been seeing that though from teams now, right?
Exactly.
I
right.
like it because they're not fully playing like they'll play a zone for a few positions. It really does actually change the dynamic of the game very quickly.
Yeah, and all it is
because
getting
it's
people's
like,
heads.
oh, hey.
All it's there to do is get in people's heads. It's not there to actually be a good defensive set.
No, but it throws people off. Like, yeah. So I like seeing that just for something different, you know.
Yeah, and like what's your stance on Cat?
Very much the same as yours. Gifted offensive player, does very well on the offensive end. Defensively, he comes across to me as quite soft.
Yeah, he is soft. That's the problem.
And he's come into the league like that, and I think
He's going
Jimmy Butler really highlighted that, even though Jimmy Butler's just a mongrel, but
not wrong.
But he's actually just highlighted it, and I think now people have like, oh, okay, well, I'm gonna have a go now.
Yeah,
and like every game, like, oh, it's only Karl Anthony Towns.
Yeah, what's he going to do?
Oh, I'll just make a comment about Jimmy Butler and he'll be all fired up and gone, and that's it.
And that's the problem is he probably has played into that a bit much, and
Yep.
then he gets into people's faces rather than just getting past it and beating them.
And just playing defense and
Because
winning.
he's super gifted. Yeah, and winning.
Mm.
It's like the fact that someone like Sabonis is an all-star over, and I know Sabonis is good, no discredit to him,
But
wow. Is that really right? If it's what the fans want to see and the best players on the court.
is Indiana a bigger market than Minnesota right now?
Just it's pennies, mate, to be honest.
It's all a rounding error.
It's all a rounding error. If there's one quote to take away from this podcast,
It's all a rounding
it's
error.
all a rounding error. Jeez. Shall we go on to the Mamba
Oh, yeah.
plays of the week?
Yeah, and I've got a couple.
Talk to me.
An obvious one, I think, would be the performance of Damian Lillard over his past 6 games.
Yeah. That's the Mamba mentality.
That is the Mamba mentality. 48.9 points per game. Like you said earlier, and like we've covered, doing everything. Almost 10 rebounds, 7 assists, 11 rebounds, 13 assists, like everything for those games. And again, the favourite would be the dunk over JaVale McGee.
Yeah, it was nice.
And Danny Green. Like, that was just...
Huge.
Yeah.
I just didn't expect it.
You know he can get up.
But you don't
But not like that.
He kind of comes in and looks like he's going to do the classic Kyrie Irving where he shimmies one side and does something interesting. And because he can do that, right? And that's what's so awesome about watching Damian Lillard all the time is that he has 90 to 95% of the tricks that Kyrie does, but also has the fact that he can use Yam on you, which is just so cool.
Yeah. And he doesn't need to use them all the time too.
No.
You see Kyrie playing now and he's crossover after crossover.
He's almost doing too much. And
Is he trying to show his value? I don't know.
Potentially. I think the challenge is you've got a Brooklyn team that doesn't move as well as they potentially could. At times, I think they can become a bit stagnant. So he feels like he's got to do more. The problem with doing that is you fall into the same thing where people just end up ball watching.
Well, here's a good one for you then. The second Mamba play of the week, or nominee, would be Kyrie Irving. 54 points off 82.6.
82. I didn't even know that. Oh my God, that's so good.
So we say, oh yeah, everyone's just ball watching, but when you're shooting that clip, wow.
Watch.
What?
Just
watch.
be impressed.
Just get the man the ball.
Yeah, go sit down and just watch him do his thing. Holy moly. But then he got hurt
Wow, yeah, and that's
for the 400th time. That's Kyrie Irving's issue. It's because if you've got the ball in your hand that much, you're going to get double teamed. You're going to get double teamed.
well,
by
and
big
he's
get
taking it
hurt.
against 3 people in the paint.
Yeah.
And it was a knee sprain, right? Who did he get tangled up with?
I forget even who it was now. No, Bradley Beal.
It was Bradley Beal.
Yeah.
Oh, have we just?
That's why he's not an all-star.
Yeah.
He hurt Kyrie.
Yeah, Kyrie Irving. There we go.
No,
Just
that means,
throwing it out there.
that means he's playing defense and should be still there, in my opinion. And then the fail of the week. Can we? We've danced around it. Jackson Hayes. He's a rookie in New Orleans. He's like a 4 or 5. He's got hops for days. To be fair, he's been playing some good basketball. Follow him on Instagram. It's a pretty entertaining young man.
What is he? AB 19 as well. Is it 18?
Sideshow Jacks is what he calls himself on
Oh
Instagram.
no! Well, he has caused a sideshow. That's for sure.
Didn't get voted into the Rising Stars Challenge, and then went on a rant around
Was it like Instagram Live?
yeah,
or,
how it was an absolute joke, and the NBA can go and this and that and the other thing, and just made an absolute knob of himself. And that's just a massive issue for anyone that wants to be anything in this league.
Anywhere, and
especially
any team.
if it's political. Especially like,
well, who's going to want to take him? Oh man, he's irrational. Just speaks his mind too much.
yeah, and then goes to the next game and scores 4 points and 2 rebounds in like 22 minutes of play.
So if that was
Fail of the
you
week.
who did that,
Yeah, sounds
sounds
right.
likely. How would you walk back into the New Orleans? Say you had training that afternoon after your posting. What would you walk in? How would you walk in? I'm just curious because surely he would have got hit up straight away.
He would have got hit up before he got there. So it's what do you do in front of your teammates? And what you do in front of your teammates is you go, yeah, 'cause I'm great, and we're amazing, and we're winning, and we've got like Brandon Ingram, who's Kevin Durant on a budget, who made the All-Star team. We're all doing this. Let's do it. Because there's nothing else you can do with your team. You've at least got to go in on it. But to the media, you go, yeah, I'm real sorry. Because you can't go, yeah, no, sorry, guys, I'm not good enough. Like,
No, it's not saying that. I wonder if I reckon JJ had some words to him.
JJ Redick.
He'd be like, man, you can't be doing that for your brand. It's really...
it would hurt his brand, to be fair. Unless you've got anything else, man, I think we're done for today.
How have we tracked? How are we going for timing today?
I think we're nearly an hour deep and we're feeling good. So on that note,
Wow,
again, a
fantastic.
big thanks to Switch, who basically sets us up and makes us look professional and makes every other podcast on this platform look professional.
Yeah. Thank you, guys. Thank you.
Thanks to everyone who put any questions forward, because it actually helps spur some conversation and us to learn new players like Matisse Thybulle, who no, Courtney is not the best defensive player of all time.
But watch this space.
Watch the space. So we'll continue to make these. Hopefully you'll continue to watch, and we'll see you all next week.
Awesome. Cheers, guys.
Catch
Thank
you
you.
later.